Hey, on the show today, goodbye session notes, surprise drop newish D&D subclasses, and our main focus today is on horror in tabletop games. All that and more on your favorite TTRPG Slacker news discussion roundtable Friday afternoon show. And now is the part where I play the intro.
Are you ready to get casual? Grab your favorite adult beverage or combustible plant and join us for our roundtable TTRPG discussion. Oh yeah, it's time for Casual Friday. And now, here are your hosts.
Hello, everyone. Oh my goodness, that's Ryan Doyle there with the reveal. Brad, take off your glasses dramatically. Dun dun dun. Hey everyone, we're the Lane Luck Warlocks. I'm Jim, that's Ryan, that's Brad, as we've already established. And let's get into the show so we can talk about the stuff that we need to talk about. We have the hour is upon us. And now, let's get into the news. Well, first, wait a second. Hold on. Before we get into the news, gotta tell you, you out there watching, 89 minutes from now, we're going to be debuting a brand new actual play called Not Here to Make Friends. And I'll tell you a little more about it at the midpoint of the show when we do the catch up. But so diving right into the news, the first thing we want to get to is something that's happened a couple of times, is that we're talking about something on the show because it's something I saw from an Instagram ad. This is Instagram's getting to know me pretty well. They're like, here's some show topics, Jim. This is called Scribe.
Talk about viral marketing.
Automatically transform your TTRPG sessions into an immersive campaign wiki that updates as you play. Simply upload your session audio. Scribe handles the rest. Now, what this is so when you're playing your Dungeon and your Dragon, you take out your phone and you record or use any kind of recorder, and then when it's done, you upload it to this service. You upload it to their servers. They use AI to automatically transcribe it and sort things based on topics to basically make a campaign wiki for you. Now, before we really get into this discussion, I know people have strong opinions about AI. And in my view, I think this is okay AI because it's not taking anyone's gerb. No one's gerb is getting taken because of this, and it is making lives easier if it works. If this is a way that I can just hit the record button and then at the end upload that and have a wiki where players could go look and see what happened in the last session, see what happened 5 sessions ago, I think that's pretty amazing if it works. Again, I don't know if it works. I just saw this in an ad and I thought it was worth talking about. Here's one thing though. A few years ago, I was recording some D&D with some friends of mine that I thought we might want to put it out as an actual play someday. So we were recording it. We weren't doing anything with the recordings, but just I was keeping them all, in a big file on my hard drive. And what I found was that with the sessions were reasonably short, I could watch them back afterward. And if I did that, I didn't have to take notes during the session. And not having to take notes during the session is an incredibly freeing experience. If you're the kind of person who usually takes notes, and you should take notes during the session, but if you don't have to, all of a sudden, those moments where players are just kind of like doing in-character silly banter that I know doesn't mean anything, those are times when I like attention to notes, start writing down, or, I could tell but if you don't have to take notes, you can actually listen to that meaningless banter and maybe you'll get a plot hook out of it. I don't know. So what do you guys think about this Scribe, the potential of this Scribe service?
I mean, it sounds cool because, note taking is invaluable. But if most DMs are like me, I'm terrible at keeping notes. So this would be super useful.
On the AI front, I'm a little more ambivalent than most in this space, who are either on the Pitchfork and Torches side of things, or like the full full-throated embrace. My position is the machines have already won. Uh, resistance is futile. It's coming. And don't get me wrong, I'm not happy about it, but yeah, one day I'm going to replace all my players with AI
Oh gosh.
so I can have real fun. Um, I run my I still want to call it my Thursday night game, but it is migrated to Wednesday nights. I run an online game on Wednesday nights. We use Zoom. Zoom, which is like business meeting software, has an integrated AI sort of stenographer, note taker, summary thing. One of my players is super into AI. It's like, can we turn this on? I was like, oh, sure, I guess. I mean, they're already mining our data to train the model anyway. I'm sure I've already signed away that permission, so sure. And it was like, this meeting was rather unfocused and was hard for me to and like it got some pretty key details and like spelled a couple nonsensical fantasy names right, which was impressive or alarming. But it was like, you guys could use some more like structure. Perhaps consider having an outline. I was like, oh,
That's funny.
thanks
Well,
for judging
the
me.
the AI the AI is designed for business meetings, so it expects and recommends structure. That's hilarious.
Mike, we don't know the cost. It doesn't say on the website. It's not available yet. I signed up for the wait list because I'm very curious to try this out. Also, of note, on their FAQs, it says that everything that you upload to them is private and will not be shared without your permission.
Wink.
So that's worth noting, that they're not selling your sessions to train that AI dungeon master that Watsy's secretly building.
In a basement in Seattle. There's a network of hard drives.
Yeah, my stance on AI is I want AI to do the things that I don't want to do. You know, like the dishes, folding the laundry. Like I don't want AI to do my art or my storytelling. I like doing those things. I want the AI to give me more time to do art and storytelling. So, the trend in AI is going in the exact opposite direction of I think what all of us want.
I for one wanted poetry to be written for me while I slave in the whatever mines.
Yeah, well, was it Rosie? Was that her name? The robot housekeeper from the Jetsons? Yeah, that's what I want. That's what I want my AI to be.
Well, good news and bad news. We're going in that direction, but she's not going to clean your house.
Indeed. Yeah, so going forward, if I get into this program, I'll try it out and let everybody know how it works. I think potentially this could be
we were all thinking it.
All right, okay, goodness. Moving on from automated session notes to...
Speaking of horrors beyond human comprehension.
Thank you very much. All right, so there are new subclasses, new-ish subclasses. Some of them are brand spanking new, and some of them are just updates. They are 5.5 updates from previous things. They are all horror themed, and which we don't know for sure what book these are going to be in. We do know that there is an unannounced October book on the WotC schedule. So that leads us to believe that we're maybe getting Van Richten's Ravenloft, 2 Electric Boogaloo, Curse of Straw 10-year anniversary edition, maybe. Who knows? But so what do we've got here? We've got the Reanimator Artificer. We have the the Bard College of Spirits. We have the Cleric, the Grave Domain. I think I skipped past the Ranger Hollow Warden. I've got some thoughts about the Hollow Warden. Rogue Phantom, and the Sorcerer's Shadow Sorcery. I didn't even look at that one at all. The Hexblade Patron, and there's the Undead Patron. So we get 2 for Warlocks. So about 3 or 4 of these are brand new. Do you guys want to go through these one at a time? You want to talk about the Reanimator first, or someone to have overall thoughts they want to spit out?
I was just thinking that overall, we've seen Shadow Sorcerer before, right? So that this is a remake. Shadow Sorcerer. We've seen Rogue Phantom before, haven't we? Has that been a subclass before?
Yeah, the new ones are the Reanimator's new, and the Hollow Warden. Everything else is from something else.
Yeah, the Spirit Bard. Did that ever actually make it into a book, or was that just we've seen it before? Because I know it was in a UA before, but I don't. Did it ever make it into a book?
It did. It says here where they are. Oh, maybe not.
It says design note updated, so it's somewhere. I never had Van
Oh yeah, it was
Richten's.
in Van Richten's.
Van
That's
Richten's.
what it was.
Okay. Yeah. So, I well, we can just go through them step by step, I guess.
Well, I think zoomed out big picture, we know something is coming that these subclasses are going to fit into, right? And it seems like all of a sudden it makes more sense to me that they have a 10-year plan going forward about like what's coming out. All the stuff that came out in the last 10 years. Is that what we're doing? Because I'm less excited about that than new things. I do like the Reanimator though. Give me Dr. Frankenstein.
One thing I was noticing is, proficiency bonus times per day used to be the standard, and it seems like they're trying to get away from proficiency bonus times per day and lean more on ability score modifier, or primary ability score modifier times per day, minimum of once. But now there's just there's no standardization. Some abilities use proficiency bonus times per day. Some are once per short rest. Some are once per long rest. Some are ability mod times per day. Some are there's others can't even think of right now. There's just some of the things are like your level, or half your level. I've seen a bunch of times in 5.5. They've used that one. There's one of these subclasses in here. It's half your class level. And I wish they would standardize that.
Yeah.
I wish the resource management was a little more standardized, and go ahead, Brad. Interrupt me.
Yeah, I think that would be better, because at least you'd have a standard. If every class had a proficiency bonus times per day, or ability score bonus times per day, whatever it was, whatever the standard was, if it was standard, then you would just automatically know everybody has this kind of ability that they can do 3 times a day, and then that's going to eventually go up to 5 times a day, right? Something like that. Having it be different just means it takes up more memory space. Right? You have to know 4 different methods of calculating how many times you can use a thing, and then you have to remember which method applies to which class or subclass.
Yeah, I think they're probably trying. I imagine the intent was to get away from multi-class abusers who can use an ability way more than they should by taking a 1 or 2 level dip in something. But in this case, I wonder if the cure is worse than the sickness in this case, right?
Here's a hot take. I hate multi-classing in this system because they're like, yeah, you can do it. We're not really going to provide much for it, and we're going to bend over backwards to try to exploit proof the system.
Right.
But there's like much more elegant ways to like give me a robust multi-classing system, or just say no multi-classing, and that's okay. It's maybe better.
It's ironic that, excuse me, that was my chair. It's ironic that
do it again.
Last time. I don't even remember what I was going to say now. It's completely vanished. Okay. Damn you, chair. All
Damn
right.
you,
chair. It took a fighter tip and it was interrupting.
Oh no, I remember what I was going to say now. It's ironic that they have this system of multi-classing, and that the system of multi-classing creates this need to tighten the reins around abuse, when the kind of people who are prone to multiclassing are the kind of people who want to abuse the system, right? Those are the kind of people who want to find exploits in the system. So maybe stop putting so much resources into not letting those people do what they want.
Yeah. Well, one thing that I liked about the 2014 version is it was fairly modular, and that was intentional. In fact, I think from listening to Mike Merles, he wanted it to be even more modular. So I liked the idea that, okay, multi-classing is just an optional rule. Feats are an optional rule, right? And if you want to spice up your game and also complicate your game and make your game vulnerable to exploits, you can add all these things in. But the game itself is not designed to bear the weight of all these options on board at the same time. That seemed to be the design behind 2014, and I thought that was a good design.
I'm a big fan of modularity. I'm going to address this for a second, not to be that guy, but Pathfinder Second Edition did a very good job, I think, with, I want to say archetypes off the top of my head, but the Pathfinder 2e has a much better approach, I think, systemically to multi-classing, and it may be less appealing to the optimizers out there because it's harder to exploit, it's more balanced. But it's also like, I talk a lot of new players out of multi-classing because more often than not, you're making a worse character. You're not getting those like higher level spells soon enough that it's relevant. It's very easy to make a character that is wildly underpowered or some sort of like exploit that I'm going to have to adjust everything on my end to account for, which is not fair to the rest of the players at the table who aren't trying to break the game as hard as possible. So yeah, long story short, Pathfinder, pretty good at that.
Yeah.
I think DC 20 had a pretty good multi-class system from what it's been a while since I read the DC 20 beta. But anyway, so let's talk about the subclasses. We could wax philosophical about without time per day all day long. So the Reanimator is, I think they've done a pretty good job here of flavoring a artificer to be a Frankenstein kind of guy. I do like it's basically a like a Beastmaster Ranger, but for an artificer. Because you get a little companion guy, and then one thing that I really like here is this jolt to life ability because it allows you to cast Spare the Dying, but boop, pump 1 hit point into it. And I like this idea here where it says you can modify the spell. And I like the word modify here. And I was thinking modify should be a capitalized word in D&D. You know, we're speaking about standardizing. What if modification was something that the artificer, the wizard, and the sorcerer could all do? Sorcerer modifies spells with meta magic. The wizard modifies spells with, book learning. And then the artificer does it with, I don't know, whatever the artificer's thing is, tinkering. But wouldn't that be interesting if you had a standardized way to alter spells with an in-game mechanic?
Yeah, I could see that. Like if modify was like a category, and then under modify there was like 3 different things you could do, right? You could add an extra die to the damage. You could change the damage type from like fire to cold, whatever. Or you could increase the range of the spell or something like that. That would be an interesting if there, so when you said modify, that referred to 3 different options that you could do to change your spell or something along those lines. I think that would be fairly efficient design. And like you said, sorcerer does it with meta magic, so that's a resource they have to manage. Artificer does it with like tinkering skill proficiency, which maybe spends an action. You have to spend an action to do it before you cast a spell. and you'd have to have some sort of resource for the wizard to manage. But
The wizard could do it as long as he sits there for 10 minutes before anything happens. It's all ritual. He's just got like a whiteboard that he's working out the equation to ritual cast his mods.
almost done.
It took me my second read through to realize. Oh no, actually, I think somewhere it gets bigger to a medium size, but I didn't realize at first that this because it's Frankenstein in my brain, but it's like it's a little dude. It's a little dude who just like punches people for a D4 and then explodes when it dies. I was like, this is incredible. I love this thing. I want these running around all my campaigns, and I'm not a huge Artificer fan.
So it starts off as size small or size tiny?
Small.
Okay.
It starts off small.
Yeah. It starts off as small, and then at level 9, it can be bloated to up to medium or large, gaunt to get extra speed, and or this
Moist.
word. I don't know why they had to use that word.
Because it's perfect. It's perfect. It's so. Hey, everyone making games, and I know there's a bunch of you in there. The right word for like the in-game description of the thing, the word that you're going to be italicized, pay a lot of attention to that. And if it's like, oh, I hate it, that might be the right word. Because like bloated, it's perfect. Enlarge, all right, cool. Vaguely sexual, sure. Bloated, this bloated reanimated corpse that's going to explode when it drops to 0 hit points. Perfect. I read moistly and went, ugh, and then I was like, yeah, they did it. Good.
Anything else about the Artificer before we move on to the Emo Bard?
I'm ready. I'm ready for Emo Bard. I always like the concept of the Spirits Bard. I like any Bard variant that doesn't need an instrument.
Oh wait, I'm sorry. There was one thing in the Artificer text that I really enjoyed that I really wanted to call out.
Is
Once
it
you create a
Pile of
companion,
Viscera?
you can't do so until you finish a long rest expense plus plot. You can only have one companion at a time, and you can't create one while your companion is present. That's so funny because the companions could be like, "Hey man, what are you doing? No, you already got me. No, what are you doing? Hey, stop."
Are you gonna replace me?
Anyway, I'm sorry, Brad, to interrupt, but I just
I was just saying
The Ouija Bard. Ouija Bard.
Yep. I love any bard that like doesn't use instruments. I like the idea of a bard who's more of a storyteller, a lore master, or in this case, communing with the dead. I think is just a cool take on the bard.
Or theremin.
Yeah.
Oh, perfect. Oh, I love it. I like that it's a little like wild magically. It's like spirits of beyond come to me, and you don't know who's going to show up. It's like you roll for it. It's like this guy's a healer, and this guy's a sharpshooter. Like these are very different things.
Yeah, I wasn't very familiar with Van Richten's. I think I own it, but I've never read it. But Spirit Guardians as a bard, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's pretty nasty.
It's slightly worse now. They nerfed it. It's a little less good, but it's still pretty fucking good. Part of my language.
Let's see, empowered channeling. Where is that? Power command once per turn when you cast Bard's ability deals damage or restores hit points. Roll a d6. You gain a bonus. What? Oh, this just made me think of something else. I've noticed lots of places in the 2024 books where it'll say something like, when you hit and deal damage.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think that there's so many places where they've changed that?
Weapon mastery. With like cleave and what's the one where you still deal damage even when you miss?
Oh, Nick?
It's not
Is that Nick.
No, but it should be Nick. That's the problem. It should be Nick, but Nick is the bonus action, doesn't count for your offhand. Vex? No, Vex is advantage.
Graze.
Thank you,
Sabotooth.
Yep. Yeah, so with like graze and cleave, you can do damage without. I guess technically with cleave, do you roll for hit? Maybe it's just because of graze. But that's why.
Huh.
Cleave, you do roll the second. You do roll an attack to see if the second target gets hit. I think 90% sure.
Yeah, so it's really just because of graves. So that's interesting that you have this one feature that requires you to add what is that? 8 words every time you make an ability that is based on when you do damage.
And it's also like I don't know, someone's like charm personing or something, like it's like those edge cases they're trying to protect against. They're always trying to, we'll call it jerk proof the game. So it's like they'll get wordier to prevent the conversation from happening at the table, which means the player hasn't read the whole thing. So you're going to have a conversation at the table because it's not simple and they made too many things try to fit in their head at the same time. So they don't know what they're talking about. Sorry.
Well, it's interesting that they would go fix all of these, change all these other abilities instead of just adding a line in Grays that says something like damaging with this ability does not trigger on hit abilities or something like that.
Yeah.
Maybe because there's no actual capitalized thing called an on hit ability in D&D. That was just what I don't think there's a category for abilities that trigger when struck.
Hey Jim, I love you, man, but you got to stop advocating for more capital letters in this thing. We have enough, and and there's already no reason why some are and some aren't. We don't need more. It's so hard to keep track.
Jim's just making his case that he needs to work for Paizo, is what he's doing. That's what Pathfinder. That's what Pathfinder does. That's why Pathfinder has like all these different tags and all these different conditions, right?
I would only go work for Paizo to try to up my resume when Darrington Press headhunts me. I'll get a better salary. So that's why I would use Paizo to play into a better salary at Darrington Press.
There you go.
Ooh, that's the move. Play them off each other.
So Jim's admitting how much he loves Daggerheart right now.
We're gonna cut all this out. Don't worry.
Guys, we're live.
Nobody's gonna see
the red thing's on.
All right, moving on to or do you guys have anything more to say about the Emo Bard?
I like it. That's all.
Okay. The Grave Domain Cleric. This was also this one's from Xanathar's. I'm not as familiar with this one. I get it confused with the Death Cleric.
This is Caduceus, Mr. Darrington Press. Caduceus was a grave cleric.
Right. Yes. Okay.
Death,
you're right. Yeah.
Yeah. Or grave. Yeah. Death Cleric is the one like bad guy subclass from the DMG.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, and people were playing the Death Cleric, I think, early on in 2014, and it wasn't the best design because it was just a sample. It was like a sample subclass in the DMG. And so I think that's what led to the Grave Domain coming out, so that it was easy access for players and it was a better design than the Death Domain from the DMG. At least that's how I remember it.
Any thoughts on the Grave Domain Cleric? I don't really have anything to say about it.
It doesn't feel that different, maybe because it's the one I am arguably the most familiar with in this UA. It just seems like tinkering around the edges.
Yeah, well, I mean that's what they did for some of the subclasses in 2024, right? They are just tuned up or tighter versions of the 2014. So I think that this one is one of those.
So moving on to the Hollow Warden, the new subclass for the Ranger. Speaking of wardens, do you know that I made a D&D class called the Warden? And then a week later, WotC drops the Hollow Warden. Hey, WotC, get off my dick.
It's a wild one. This is spicy today. It's spicy in here.
This is the Edgelord Ranger. This Hollow Warden, full on merciless and monstrous guardians. In the video, Mackenzie talked about the person with the antlers, like big bloody spiky antlers out in the forest, And then then what's funny is you're an edgelord, and then at level 15 you're immune to exhaustion, so you become a meth lord because you never have to sleep again because you're completely immune to exhaustion. That's wild. What did you guys have? One thing I will say though, I do like how the subclass lets you change Hunter's Mark. Because if you played a ranger from low level to high level, you would be sick of Hunter's Mark.
Mm.
Not very long into it, because the class is so dependent on that spell, that it's nice that it gives you the ability, this ancient armor and unnerving aura thing. But what do you guys think? Your thoughts on the Hollow Warden?
I think I would just play it as like the crazy woodsman, just the guy that just is out in the woods too long, and especially once you get to that 9th level ability, and just be just fully unhinged by the time you hit no exhaustion. You're just the total wacko.
Making moonshine and coveralls.
Yeah, there you go.
It's the dude who died in the cabin in Yellow Jackets.
Right. Yes.
It's a vibe. It's a vibe. I don't want to steer. Well, maybe I do want to steer us into the like, what's wrong with Rangers conversation again. So
I mean, it's been several months since we had that.
Maybe Hunter's Mark shouldn't be a spell.
I believe we said that multiple times early on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my quick fix. I like the Warden. Jim, you should give us a little taste.
A little taste. Well, the Warden is a new class for D&D. It's compatible both 2014 and 2024, and I tried to fix what I thought was wrong with the Ranger. I feel like going from 2014 to 2024, they took out a lot of the flavor. It just added in more damage, which is nice. You know, it's great that the Ranger does more damage now, but they took out flavor. They took out natural terrain. Natural Explorer favored terrain. Those are the two things that they took out. So I put them back in, but I gave them mechanical benefits and I gave them flavor. Problem with the Ranger is if you pick a coastal Ranger and then you go into the forest, you're underpowered. So why not let your class pick a different favored terrain after a long rest, like swapping a spell? Why not? If you're a super adaptable woodsy guy, you should be able to adjust to the swamp just as well as you can to the Arctic or the coast. And that's just a little flavor of the Ranger. I fixed the flavor of the Warden. I fixed the Ranger. You're welcome.
Thank you, Jim. I did just have a flash of a dude like carrying a surfboard up a mountain. This is like, this is my thing, bro. Like,
Coastal Ranger.
yeah, I like that your approach isn't just like, look, number bigger now. It's like, who even is this guy? Like, what's the identity? What is the class fantasy? What are we trying? What is the point of this? Who is this dude? And that's like the crux of it, the starting position.
Well, thank you.
I think the first 2 months of Casual Fridays, we talked about the Ranger so much. Jim was like, "All right, damn it, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna fix
it."
Well, that is when I first saw the UA for the new Ranger is what inspired me last year. I was like, why are they breaking the Ranger? Why are they just breaking the Ranger? I don't know. Any other thoughts on the Warden is available in the DM's Guild now. It's only $4.99. It's not even $5. Super cheap. Any other thoughts on the Hollow Warden before we move on?
I don't love the spooky things in the forest that we can't even tell you about. Like, this is D&D. There's 500 monsters in this book. You can't hand wave it right now, right? Just like, I just auto completed like a big spider. That's not doing it. Give me details.
Really does feel like the Yellow Jackets class, huh? The Yellow Jackets subclass.
Yeah.
Which, as a person who's had a crush on Christina Ricci for several decades now, all right, I'll take it.
She's very good in that show. Okay, the Rouge Phantom, which comes from Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. The only thing I have to say about this is there's a line here. It says that thieves' guilds value rogues of this persuasion as highly effective information gatherers and spies. And then I thought, but there's like nothing in the subclass that has to do with information gathering, except maybe they get they get speak with dead at level 9. But I don't know. Why do you think they say this, or is this just meaningless flavor text?
Yeah, I don't.
Second one.
Yeah, I don't see anything specific in the class design that really supports that flavor text.
Hmm.
But it's UA. We can always fill out the survey and say that.
Which I will in all caps. Your flavor text is irrelevant. I don't know. Any thoughts on the Phantom? I don't have anything else to say. We can move on.
Ooh, Phil's coming in hot. The chat's been great so far, but the Purple Knight of Rogues is
Oh,
that's a takedown.
yeah. I don't know what's terrible about it. It just seems like they get some kind of like fear-based stuff. Roll half the number of sneak attack dice for your level. Why are you making
Round up.
so much math? Yeah, why
Blasphemy.
is that round up?
Blasphemy.
Roll half the number of sneak attack dice for your level. Couldn't you just say roll the number of dice equal to your level, and wouldn't that be about the same number?
Well, your sneak attack dice, yeah. So your third level, you get 3d6. No, your third level, you get 2d6. Fifth level is 3d. It's not exactly the same, but
it would be close though, wouldn't it?
So if I have 5 sneak attack dice, I get 2.5, 3. Anyway, that's just dumb. They should kill that. That's not a good feature.
Or I think it's cleaner just like roll your sneak attack damage. They take half. I get to roll more dice, which is the point of this game, I'm pretty sure, right? Just roll as many dice as possible. And then the math is easier. Or maybe not. But it does feel like a lot of the design is like, here, you get these spells now. You're different. And it's like, I rather have more new things than here. I'm a rogue with a scroll that has Speak with Dead on it. I'm a new subclass. Oh, okay. I'm impressed.
So
yeah,
moving on
real quick, Sabretooth points out that like Ghost Walk and Augury are also spells you get, so that would kind of fit that spy theme.
Okay. I stand corrected. My response will not be in all caps when I fill out these surveys. Okay, moving on to the Shadow Sorcerer. Do you guys have anything to say about this? I did not even read it. Did not have time.
Well, the first thing I looked at when Shadow Sorcerer was if they changed the Hound of Ill Omen ability, and they did. It no longer has the word hound in it. It's now Spirit of Ill Omen, I think.
Yeah. Is that better?
I think it's in some ways it's better. I think that the mechanics are different. I haven't taken the time to think about whether the mechanics are better, but I know a lot of people objected to the Hound of Ill Omen ability because you basically summoned like a shadow wolf. And that kind of locked you in thematically that your Shadow Sorcerer had to be like wolf related.
I'm not seeing the problem. No idea.
But the Hound of Ill Omen is actually a homage to a creature from the original Fiend Folio. The Hound of Ill Omen was a monster stat block, but it wasn't actually a creature. It was it was more like a hazard effect. It was like this creepy spirit that would stalk you or haunt you or something like that. It's like the monster that wasn't a monster, but that's where it originally came from, was the Fiend Folio. So they were kind of doing this kind of nod to that book, but it did kind of peg the Shadow Sorcerer into having a very specific pet. So they did away with that, which probably a good thing.
Gotcha. Oh wow, we're only on our second topic, and we're 40 minutes into the show. So moving on, unless anyone has anything burning to say about the Shadow Sorcerer, we could talk about the Hexblade patron, um, which is comes from Xanathars, and I never really paid attention to this in Xanathars, so I was reading this almost kind of anew, and I think this idea is really cool. This idea, I would love for a player in one of my games to play one of these, and then have some kind of sentient weapon that they have to go rescue from, the caverns underneath the city. They have to go rescue the patron, and I don't know. What do you guys think about the Hexblade patron?
Thematically, I like it. I've had multiple players play the Hexblade, and like most warlocks, it's a cool way to add extra plot hooks to your game because the warlock has a patron. I actually, in one campaign, we played all the way up to level 20. The Hexblade warlock's weapon was the Sword of Kos. And so I created a low level version of the Sword of Kos, and it leveled up with him over time. And it turned out to be a really cool story arc for the character. It was fun. So I think the main goal, if you're redoing the Hexblade, is to not make it the best warlock subclass, because that was the problem with the old Hexblade, is it was really, like, power wise, the optimal choice.
Yeah, I've seen a few get played, and they're pretty darn good, and it's maybe the best Gish, and it's a thin field, maybe the only viable Gish, but
Versus Bladesinger?
versus well, see, Bladesinger, yeah, I almost don't count it because it's too good. Yeah, Bladesinger makes me mad. It does. It makes me mad. But yes, Bladesinger is arguably better because it's a wizard that is as good. Swordsbard, man, yeah. So yeah, a popular subclass, a dope idea. I do like so far the apparent design goal of 2024 to ensure balance. I was really expecting just like now with more everything to come out of this new, not new edition. And it does seem like they've tried to make the subclasses more in line. It's early days in a new system, right? So I'm sure that splat books will come out to break that cycle soon enough. And maybe we're looking at the beginning of one of those. But I hope that continues. If there's one best option, then it's almost like there are no options.
Mm-hmm.
In 2014, did warlocks get their subclass / patron at level 1?
Yes.
Yes. Didn't they? Okay, so now it's level 3, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that should prevent, a lot of the multi-class problems where dipping into warlock for one level to get Hexblade, right?
Right.
So that you could, because the main thing is you can use your charisma modifier for weapon attacks, right? So you could be a paladin, take a level of warlock and dump strength, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And that's just another reason why multi-classing is an inelegant system that has actually created more problems.
Yeah.
I have all of these magic abilities because I signed a contract in the near future. Like, wait, what?
Yeah, it's the moving everything to third level, I think, does address a big chunk of the multi-classing conundrum, right? So
yeah. Anything else about Hexblade? We want to finish this off, I think, with the Undead Warlock, which was also from Van Richten's.
Yeah, which the Van Richten's one was a much improved version. The original Undying Warlock, which I think came out in Sword Coast Adventurer's Guide, was practically unplayable. When Sword Coast Adventurer's Guide first came out, I had a a player who wanted to switch to that subclass because thematically it fit his character better. But he was regularly disappointed with the performance of that subclass. So when they finally came out with the undead warlock, that made the undying obsolete. So yeah. Obviously, just first read through on Unearthed Arcana, it's hard to tell. But all of these look interesting and seem to be taking the design in the right direction. And like Ryan said, if the goal is to maintain balance, that's important and that's a good thing. It's system bloat is very hard to prevent. Because ultimately, underneath it all, you're a business and you want to keep selling books. And one way to sell books is to make cool stuff that your players want to play. And it gets hard to make new and exciting stuff without dialing up the power level. That's just an inherent problem of all games.
Yeah.
And I think you could do it with vibes. You could do you can go a long way with vibes. Eventually, yeah, they're gonna the math, the number crunchers are gonna catch up with you, and you're gonna have to give them something to keep handing you money. But like, I do like to see a big chunk of like thematically interlinked subclasses coming out. Like, oh, okay, we're going somewhere with this. I could see all these at the same table. It would be interesting. I can see the outlines of what kind of book is coming.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm curious to see what the actual book is. It seems redundant to do another Ravenloft book so soon. But there are plenty of other domains of dread.
Mm.
So you could pick any of the other domains of dread and make a book about that. That would be an interesting way to do this.
As someone who hasn't read Van Richten's, and I'm gonna extend this to chat too. Like what like monster movie genre franchise, like what kind of horror, if we're not doing Dracula this time, right? I'm sorry, Strahd. What's the preference? Like what do we hope they're coming out with, or what are we gonna write ourselves because they fail to deliver on our expectations? My mind leaps to werewolves. It does feel like lycanthropy is like really cool and rich ground and maybe not super satisfying. Cabin in the Woods. Phil answers all of the above, I think. if you mean the movie and not the genre.
Cabin in the Woods was the meta
one vote for Mothership.
Cabin in the Woods was the meta one, right? Drew Goddard.
Yeah,
you're so good with actors' names, and I am so bad.
Drew Goddard's the director. Yeah, I think that's the one I'm thinking of. Yeah, it was the one that was like meta. Very, very good. Very, very surprising. Don't read anything about it. Just go watch it. If you read anything about it, you will have it ruined completely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Anyway, we talked about UA for a long, long time, so we're going to move on.
Real quick, there's a question from the chat about do other games do Unearthed Arcana? And I'm not familiar with any other games that put out like advanced copies of their stuff as far for playtest feedback.
Paizo doesn't do that.
Not that I know of.
A lot of companies do playtesting. It's a little. I don't know of anyone else doing this like survey model, I guess you could call it. A lot of people are like they're in the room at the table watching people react to things versus like random internet people give me your ire. Like it seems more productive to like, hey, here's a game, run it for your friends and let me watch. That seems like a more productive route, but I guess it's a numbers game. Once he has the power and the bandwidth to like broadcast this out and get however tens of thousands of replies back and process them. But I feel like there's got to be a lot of noise in that signal.
Yeah. I think they started the whole UA thing because D&D Next was so successful, right?
Hmm.
Because after the miserable, sales performance of fourth edition, they launched the D&D Next playtest in order to get people excited about fifth edition and get people talking about fifth edition. And the D&D Next playtest, like I said, was very successful and really helped with the design of the game, I think. So I think that's one of the reasons. And then, of course, like Phil said, crowdfunded hype. We just spent the last, hour almost talking about WotC's products, right?
Yep. And
Yeah.
before we move on real quick, yes, there is a video premiering on this channel in about 40 minutes, 40 minutes. We're going to be debuting a new actual play, Not Here to Make Friends. I'll tell you a little more about it on the catch-up in just a few minutes. But moving on, we have to discuss something that is a little difficult. Friend of the channel, I believe, Cleric's Corner, Riker Smith. He and his wife are having a child named Atlas. Great name. And their child is spina bifida, and so they are raising some money. That is, I think I looked just this morning and it was 3K. It's already up to 5K now, so I think. Yeah, 5,000 raised, 8,000 goals, 69 donations. Very nice. Don't let that perfect number stop you from donating. We don't need to cap it at 69. But do you guys have anything to say about this? I think spina bifida is a bummer.
Yeah.
And I hope that they can get the money they need to get the care for their child. So if you can, donate some money.
Yeah, and I'm sure they'll have additional expenses other than the actual surgery itself. There's also the fact that obviously as a parent, you want to spend as much time with your child as they go through this and go through the recovery process. So they'll be taking time off of work and all of those kind of things to be at the hospital and be there for their new little one. So I'm sure not only are they going to have a lot of expenses, they're also going to have loss of income as they take time off and that sort of thing. So definitely as much as you can to help out would be great.
Oops. Wow, we're so close.
Yes.
I wanted to be next to you guys for a second.
It was an intimate moment there.
And it was.
Riker's great people.
Great guy. Yeah.
It's a very good cause. I would also point people, especially if it's like you're watching this in the future. The Cleric's Corner Patreon is another solid way to support the cause there and get some cool stuff. I mean, he's also extremely talented. I really love his approach to things. He does some really cool stuff. So yeah, check out the Patreon. And
right.
yeah, help support cool people in need.
Yeah.
Moving on. The next thing we are going to do is name the spell. Show you that spell. Name the spell. It's not
Doesn't hit the
that's
same.
a more powerful word with the T on the end. Anyway, so here's what we're gonna do. I have just a few. It's 5 spells. They're levels 1 to 4, 2014 spells only, and I am going to give you the spell components, and you guys chat. Feel free to chime in. You're going to tell me what spell it is. Our first spell component, a small piece of phosphorus.
I just want to say, Fireball coming out strong. I just want to say, I've been doing a lot of work to get the 2024 spells in my brain, and you are undoing that work here and now, live on camera. Fireball is guano. I'm gonna say this actually might be light or dancing lights or one of those. I'm gonna say dancing lights, even though I will live to regret it.
The answer is wall of fire.
Wall of fire.
Fireball was a good instinct.
Yeah.
Our next spell component is a rotten egg or several skunk cabbage leaves.
Oh, stinking cloud.
Yeah, like poison clouds. Yeah, stinking fart. I cast fart.
Basically, yeah.
Stinking cloud.
Stink
I don't
cloud.
know if I've ever. I think we've said four. Anytime it's cast, we say 4 different things about it. So I don't remember the official name.
The spell is Stinking
Stinking cloud.
Cloud. Next up, component, a small square of silk.
Oh.
Sleep?
This is a hard one.
No. Is it sleep? Is it like a little blankie? Where's the
Um,
pun? It's like a semaphore.
Yeah, there's a pun in there. It's like
Yeah. Compel duel? That's not a thing, but it should be. And
All right, I'm going to reveal it. The spell is Nistel's Magic Aura. That's the hard one. That's
never
the
would have
hardest
got
one.
never would have got that.
Yeah. And then a pearl worth at least 100 gold pieces and an owl feather.
Oh, is this fly?
Pearl with 100 gold pieces. Dang. I think it might be divination of some sort. It might be I'm gonna say augury with very little confidence.
All right. Twin Steel got it right. It's identify.
It's identify.
Yeah. That was name
Dang.
that spell. All
Not
right.
consumed. Not consumed. That's a very important piece of information.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Okay,
Twin Steel won that one. I did. I did poorly. I got fart right.
Twin Steels are a ringer on that game.
Yeah.
Indeed. Hey, you out there watching, are you subscribed to the Landlocked Warlocks? If you're not, you should be. Also, all our individual channels. I'm Wizard Sling. Over there, it's r.doyle, and down there, it's at Dyerden. And so you should subscribe to all of us. But hey, now we come to the part of the show called The Catch Up, where we tell you what we're doing. Who wants to go first? Tell us what they got going on.
I just released a video yesterday about 5-room dungeons and kind of priming the pump for an upcoming project. I take a couple of blog articles from back in the day, the original one from John 4 about the 5-room dungeon, and another one from Gnome Stew, and kind of riff off of their blog articles on like how to design better dungeons using the 5-room dungeon design and concepts that kind of spin out of that design. There's actually an interesting academic article that someone found in response to the 5-room dungeon where they mathematically calculated all the different patterns you can put 5 nodes in. I don't understand the math whatsoever, but the cool thing is it gives you like 21 different patterns that you can put 5 nodes into, which gives you basically 21 different approaches to drawing your 5-room dungeon. So
It's dope. I'm excited. That's a good precursor for things to come. I just dropped an interview with Kyle Ott of Desks and Dorks, and it was a great time. It was dope. Dude knows a ton about games and history and is just a super fun, charismatic dude. It was, I don't know, we went past midnight and it was like I couldn't go to sleep for another hour. I was buzzing. It was good stuff. Check out that conversation.
Cool. Well, hey there. What I got going on is on Sunday, just a couple days, I got a video coming out. It's a historical D&D video, but this time I tied a historical thing into something that's happening right now. So I feel like maybe I've cracked the code. We'll see if you guys like that video, but my historical videos do terrible. Nobody ever watches them. Delver, I am not. What else I got going on? I made a... Share the screen. I made a class for Dungeons and Dragons called the Warden, and you can get it on the DMs Guild. You see, it's only $4.99 for less than the price of a cup of coffee. You can fix the Ranger, and so that's what it looks like. So you recognize when you see it. Also, later on, like we said, you're going to be seeing Not Here to Make Friends, which was an actual play based on a one-page RPG that I wrote. because I am a fan of tabletop role playing games, and also I'm a fan of The Bachelor. And it took me a long time to be able to admit that. But what happened was my ex-wife and I started watching it ironically to make fun of it, and after like 2 episodes, it sucked us in, and that's what happened. And we were not proud of it, but it happened. Um, and I always wanted to make a TTRPG based on The Bachelor, and I just couldn't make it work. I tried several times, I couldn't make it work. But then I thought, what if it was a GM-less system? There's no game master, everyone's a player, everyone's an equal part of the game competing with each other. And so what you're going to see later is our actual play in 30 minutes. Is our actual play with that. It's short. It's only about 90 minutes. I'm there. Brad's there. Our friends Angela and Mike from MBR are there. And I'd never play tested it or anything. I wrote it like a week before, but we ran it. I think it went great. I think we had a good time, and you're all going to like it.
It was fun. It was fun. I played Jim's spiteful sister.
We had it gets more and more fun as it goes on, because in the beginning we're kind of nice to each other. We don't really figure out that the point is to be mean to each other till more like the second half. But also I did put that Not Here to Make Friends. You can get it on DriveThruRPG. I just put that up. And I don't know, anything else? Other catch-up news anyone needs to get out?
I'm excited to see this because I missed this one, and this is my first one-page one-shot club that I get to like experience in a sort of pure sense. I'm excited.
I am not taking on any new trashy reality shows at this time. Thank you.
He's lying. It's already in the queue.
The one other thing, I've got a cameo in upcoming Latecomer Games video that should be coming out soon. So that was fun. Cool. That was another fun little bit that I recorded today.
Oh, I should say early tomorrow. I'm sitting down with Wally DM, the puzzle master, the head seat at the Game Masters Roundtable, all around generally just good dude. I'm gonna hop over on his channel for a while. He's gonna run me through the Game Masters Compendium of Explosive Creation, and it's gonna be a good time. So come hang out if you're up early, or watch it after.
Cool. All right, so moving on, we should do the roundtable discussion because we kind of have to justify what we put on the thumbnail by at least talking about it a little bit. Because I don't want to go change the thumbnail again. I don't want to do that. But because of this kind of almost surprise ambush drop of UA from WotC that was horror themed, we thought we might talk about horror tabletop gaming. And my experience with horror tabletop gaming is I'm terrible at it. I don't like to run it unless it's silly. And I don't like to play in it. Well, I do like to play in it as long as it's okay for me to be silly. And I would run like Curse of Strahd, with Strahd being portrayed by like a Weird Al Yankovic kind of character. But like the real, this is, you see, when they say that TTRPGs are collaborative, I think there's nowhere more true than it is with horror. And not collaborative in the sense that like I add a plot point and you add a plot point, but like collaborative in that we all have to agree to abide by the same tone conventions. Right. Because if you get a guy like me at your table, I'm going to ruin your horror game because I'm going to be silly.
That's the thing. Like you can't build the atmosphere of a good horror scene and then have Jim interrupt you with a dick joke.
Yeah, you don't want me there. You don't want me at your table. Dick jokes, I got
him. Good thing we could hear the snap, and we knew that you're snapping when you do that, not something else.
Hey, saved by the mic pickup.
We're gonna cut this out too.
Yeah. I think we're cutting most of the show, honestly, at this stage.
Yeah, we're not gonna publish the show.
No, cancel. It's interesting. I am in the early stages of a Curse of Strahd campaign. I set the table for my players. I did a little introductory adventure, which, spoiler, had 5 rooms. You'll see more of it soon. And I placed 2 paths in front of them. I set up 2 campaigns, a kind of classic vanilla, very like war gamey, tactical heavy one. And I didn't tell them it was Curse of Strahd, but like a gothic horror creep show thing. They did like the video gamer thing and like, all right, how do we optimize and cover all of our bases and collect all the quests and loop them? I was like, I put 4 years of content on the table. You guys have to pick a lane and tell me what it is. And then for the next couple of sessions, I'm like, you chose this movie, know what movie you're in.
Right.
You have bought it. I have your explicit buy-in to this genre. This is where we're going now. And now that we're like in it, the other night I was at the end of the session, I was like, this is still fun, right? Because like, woo, did I pull like that was heavy. And we're just getting started. I was like, yeah, here's the thing. This place sucks and you're never leaving. And I did a very good job of that. And at the end, I was like, is this a game? Is this abuse? What are we? Everyone's good, right? We're all cool here, right? So I think with safety tools, session 0, communication, whatever is not going to trigger you for some obscure reason I still don't quite comprehend. Talking to your players, making sure everyone's on the same page, having a good time together, even if we're exploring uncomfortable things. Super important when we're talking about something like this. Maybe someone doesn't want to deal with body horror because they're going through some medical thing and they're here to escape from that, not be reminded of it. Or somebody's watched Arachnophobia at a very impressionable age and they just can't hang with weird spider stuff. Whatever the case is, if you're sitting down with your friends to have a good time, make sure that's at the forefront of your mind.
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking like game mechanics wise, running horror in D&D is usually best done at like levels 1 through 3, because the characters are still vulnerable. So you can create a certain amount of fear because there's always a chance of dying, right? And so that's often what people lean on, is to try to provoke literal fear in the player that their character is going to die. And that's useful, but only so far, right? Because you always have, the player at the table who likes making new characters and doesn't care when their character dies. And also, there's only so much you can stretch that fear that my character is going to die kind of thing. And it can also take the fun out of the game for the person who really gets invested in role-playing the character, right? So, if you're actually running horror in D&D, it is best to run it at lower levels for that reason, because the mechanics support the fear. But ultimately, I agree with Jim that there has to be buy-in from the players that you are playing a horror game. Everybody gets the genre, and I've done that successfully with playing D&D, just by giving advantage. Well, 2 things really. I told the players ahead of time, this is a horror game, so it's supposed to be scary. I didn't specifically say, don't interrupt me with your dick jokes, but
I wrote it on the front of my Dungeon Master screen, so I didn't have to.
But I set the tone by explaining that at the beginning, and then I just gave advantage for any time that they role played being scared, or they role played that sense of dread, right? And those 2 things were enough, at least for a one shot. Those 2 things were enough to get everybody bought in. Because once one person does it well, then everybody else wants to do it well, and now we're all in the same movie, right? I recently just last week, I used our UDare system to run a sci-fi horror. And the thing I did with that, because it was totally last minute, half our players didn't show up. So I'm like, well, let's play UDare. and I just said, what genre you want. So I literally made up the game made up the adventure on the fly. And for that reason, I just leaned on tropes, right? Because I didn't have time to come up with something unique or creative. So I just leaned heavily into the aliens trope. I didn't actually use xenomorphs, but it was, 1 part aliens, or like 2 part aliens, 1 part starship troopers, right? So it was space bugs on a starship, and everybody picked up on the trope, right? Everybody's like, all right, yeah, this is just like aliens, and that created the buy-in. I leaned into the trope, so they leaned into the trope, and we had a blast. The other thing that was convenient about using UDare is if you're not skilled in something, you're only going to succeed like 50% of the time, right, or less. So that led early on to a lot of failed rolls, which of course makes the characters, level up in that system. So those failed rolls are actually exciting because every time you fail, you get an experience point. So the players appreciate the experience point when they fail, but the first few encounters, people are failing their rolls a lot, and that builds up that sense of dread. So that's an example of where the game mechanics kind of support the theme. And also because it's UDare and you can make a new character in like under a minute, I didn't feel bad at killing characters because they could just grab a new sheet and make a new character, right? And there was, it was a ship full of cryo tubes, right? So anytime someone made a new character, oh, the next room a cryo tube opens, right? And there's a new character. So it worked out really well. So UDare really fit great for what we needed it to be in that situation.
UDare's a great system. Guys who made it should win awards for it and stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Ennies are coming up.
Could we even get nominated, or is there a one-page RPG category?
I don't know. There should be.
Hey, chat, is there a one-page RPG category? If so, we want it. Make it happen for us. We want that, and you're going to make it happen for us, okay?
Nominate UDare for the one-page Any award.
I do in all seriousness, I think it does do some cool stuff. Check it out if you haven't already.
Yeah, you can.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say you can download it from DriveThruRPG, Landlocked Warlocks, UDare.
I do kind of think that the dick joke is inevitable, and it's actually a sign that you have sufficiently pressurized your players. Because some of us, I think it's cultural. It's I know the Irish and the Jews out there really rely on humor as a survival mechanism. So there's a point where the player is just like so uncomfortable that it just dick jokes come out because they have to pop that balloon or else their head's going to explode instead. So I used to really struggle with that. I used to really get like to the point of like personally hurt. Like oh you're ruining the thing that I'm trying to make for you all, or like I'm not doing my job. They're not immersed enough in this that they've come up for air. They're not in the movie anymore. But it's actually quite the opposite. If you make people uncomfortable enough, like all your favorite horror movies have those comedic beats in them. It's almost necessary to like catch your breath for a second so that the next thing hits so much harder. So just the next time you're trying to have even like a dramatic moment, doesn't have to be a horror game that you're playing, but like the next time your drama gets deflated by Jim, know that that's actually a sign that you're probably doing things well. Mm-hmm. And you can actually use that as a jumping off point to like laugh it out, reset. Laughter, crying, same muscles. You're real close. You got them.
Well, and I wonder if you could actually teach to that at the beginning of your game, just like when you would say, hey, this is a horror game. Try to stay in the moment. Try to like role play the dread and role play the fear. And you can say that sometimes you need to break that tension, but try to do it in character. Because there are those moments in horror movies when there's one of the characters does break the tension because it needs to happen for the movie, but also because in the scene they're dealing with their own stress, right? Like when Hudson says, "Well, why don't you put her in charge?" and points to the kid in Aliens 2, right? You have those kind of ridiculous moments where people say dumb shit when they're under stress, and so
Game over, man.
game over.
So to answer this question, other than Cthulhu, I think Mothership has really good rules for sanity. Very simple, very clear and effective. Their Mothership's death saves system is brutal and mean, and I love it. It's like
cup?
actively mean and cruel. Yeah, the roll a die and you put a cup over it, and so the die has been rolled, but nobody knows what it is. You got a little Schrodinger's death save inside that cup there for you.
I love that.
Also, for horror, any of the Borg games, because Morkborg is essentially an adventure at the end of the world, and everything is bad, and you're not going to make it out alive. You're going to die horribly, and everyone you know and love is going to be consumed by the flames of the end days, and the streets will run with blood. What's not to love about that for a horror setting?
Yep. Yeah, so Morkborg, Pirate Borg, Cyborg. There's all sorts of variants of Morkborg. Mike mentions the Alien RPG. It has some very similar design to Mothership. Like if you kind of look under the hood, the mechanics look different on the surface, but if you kind of see why they're there for and what purpose they play in the game, there's very similar design philosophy in the Alien RPG. The only thing I don't like about the Alien RPG is that it's so narrowly focused in that setting. Otherwise, it's a really good RPG. Professor Dungeon Master's Eldritch Hack is actually like a ridiculous rules light version of Call of Cthulhu. Eldritch Hack is like really basic, not as streamlined as a one page like You Dare, but Eldritch Hack is a very rules light, which can be used for horror.
And a couple of those are good examples of how like comedy, a version of like absurd gallows humor comedy, right? Like a very specific form of comedy can be baked into a horror game and make it better, not worse, right? Like all the Borg stuff is like tongue in cheek, and then it bites off its own tongue and spits it in your face. But like it is like it's there, the absurdity of it. Maybe that's just how I receive it, but it is self-aware and having a good time. Like if the world's going to end, let's go. There is sort of a release to that. And there's a separation between player and character too, right? Like your character can be scared as hell and you can be making a dick joke.
This is a good example. Paranoia is a good example of a game where the humor is built in. So that would be interesting to run for horror because there's not a whole lot of stakes when you've got clones. You've got just you die and another version of yourself comes out, which is how Paranoia works. But that could be very interesting with the oppressiveness of the computer.
Yeah, well, and Paranoia does create a sense of suspense because the suspense comes at like, I don't trust you and I don't trust you. In fact, I don't trust any of you, right? So it's that because the game kind of pits the players against each other, that the horror, if you will, is in the fact that I'm pretty sure everybody at this table is going to try to screw me over. Hence the name.
Hence the name. Indeed. So anything else to say about horror? Or actually, you know what? We should probably wrap this up, huh? I'm afraid we're not going to be able to get to our main topic today of Chapter 2 of the Dungeon Master's Guide. Next week, we will do better, I promise. But coming up in 10 minutes and 12 seconds, 10 seconds, is Not Here to Make Friends, the new actual play from the One Page One Shot Club, featuring some of us, but not all of us. So you should tune in. It's going to be a shorter actual play. It's only about 90 minutes. It's going to be fun. I edited graphics, I edited text and stuff into the video to make it visually entertaining, zooms and stuff like that, you know. And I think you guys should watch it, and if you like it, you know, go pick up Not Here to Make Friends, make it, you know, let's have a trashy reality show resurgence. It's time for the Badger to come back. I don't know, you guys have any final thoughts?
Dread is the only other game I was thinking of to mention. As far as you know, easy to run horror game.
Trashy reality shows have never left us. Jim, give me that Warden art again, because we didn't talk about that cover. Is dope.
Here we go.
Yeah.
So, turns out that Ryan and I used the same artist to do the Warden and the Game Master's Compendium of Explosive Creation. It's a guy named Grand Failure. He's based in Thailand, I think. I think he was either Thailand or Singapore. Yeah, I think he, of course, a lot of people think it's AI art. It is not. Grand Failure does not do AI art.
I got that actually. I was gonna buy this, but you used AI art. It's like, this art is 8 years old. Like, you think this is AI art because they fed it into a machine, and now it just reproduces crappier versions of this. Whatever.
Yeah, there's more than just hand drawn and AI. There's also digital art, which is the thing that's existed for a long time that people seem to have forgotten about. Anyway, yeah, the art. I think I was really happy with the art that I got for that book. Anyway, so coming up, 8 minutes. Not Here to Make Friends on this channel. Everyone, go to the bathroom, grab a drink, come back. And we're going to see you in just a few minutes. Any final words, guys? Anything else to say?
Bring a rose.
Bring a rose.
And, you know, also, it's a 90-minute actual play, and there's a winner at the end. So you got to tune in and find out and see who wins.
Yep, root for Bethany.
No.
All right, guys. We'll see you in a few minutes. This has been Casual Friday. I'm Jim. That's Ryan. That's Brad. We're out of here. Bye, guys.